My next suggestion for helping that shoulder that doesn't tolerate overhead presses is to go ahead and start doing a lot more mid-back strength training. Things like band pull-aparts, like these. But again, you may not be able to do it with your arms in this position, so you may have to go to a bent over pull-apart. You're going to go ahead and have to probably adjust the band, so you may have to go to more of a smaller band pull-apart. So make sure you find the pull-apart variation that works for you and start with that. So I'm going to start with those types of exercises. I want you to do a lot more rowing type movements. So I'm going to go ahead and just have my hands through the loops so that I don't have to grip it, because that'll activate my rotator cuff, and I don't want my rotator cuff working that hard. And then I'm going to go ahead and just start working a lot of rowing variations in different angles, pulling through, and you've seen me doing those in the past. If you need more information on rowing type exercises, I've got tons of videos on YouTube that you can find on simply how to row in different variations. But ultimately, my goal is to create a lot more mid-back strength training. And oh, by the way, don't forget, unilateral rowing is also really important, so make sure you incorporate that as well. The rotator cuff is a stabilizer. You need to go ahead and help it become a better stabilizer. One of the most effective ways is to place your hand into the floor. So now you can use the floor to create a force up through your arm that's going to assist your rotator cuff to be a great stabilizer of your shoulder joint, the ball and socket of your shoulder joint. So simply doing any kind of floor variations of planks, preferably with your hands extended, but you could also go forearm. If that is not tolerable, you can always go to doing them against the wall and holding that. Remember, you can go unilateral to make it work that way. And ultimately, yes, you want to start working at moving towards push-ups. So if you can do planks, now can you go ahead and start doing some variation of push-up? That may be a modified range push-up where you're only doing the top end. It might be a situation where you take a band, attach it onto a pipe, hook it around your hips, and start doing assisted planks or short push-up variations. So you may go ahead and start doing that. Ultimately, you want to go ahead and see if you can place your hand against the wall, against the hand, stabilize, and then can you start moving out of that by doing some simple variations of push-ups, which I've showed you a lot of different variations of push-ups in the past. Once again, you can go to YouTube and find all kinds of options there. In the band gym, like I said, I've taken people and shown them a lot of ways to go ahead and do push-ups, so they have it already in place for themselves. But we've got to start getting your hand on the ground, and we got to start helping that rotator cuff become a better stabilizer by using the forces of the ground, the wall, to go ahead and assist it, and then move out of that by doing something more significant like some type of pushing variation. So once my shoulder starts to tolerate pushing movements, I ultimately have to go ahead and get my hand so that it can function in space and not have to always have it against the floor. So how am I going to go from the floor to functioning more in this type of an environment without my shoulder giving me trouble? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach a band. And I'm going to place my hand into the band. Wear gloves if you need to protect your hand with this. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, starting with the band behind me on top of my arm, I'm going to start holding this type of position. Now the band is functioning like the floor, so now I'm going to start doing circles, I might start doing holds, I might see if I can start progressing into some short movement patterns of pushing, but ultimately I want the band pressing through the palm of my hand, just like on the floor, and I'm going to go ahead and start movements like that. I'm going to have the band on the outside of my arm because it's going to be a little bit easier for my shoulder to handle that, and I'm going to start there. Once I can do that, I'm going to split the difference, start putting the band underneath my arm as well as one on top, and start doing the same movements, and then ultimately I want to go ahead and see if I can get to the point where I can do pushing movements with the band underneath my arm. So again, what this is doing is it's transferring movements from the floor into space so you can start teaching the hand how to go ahead, teaching the shoulder how to go ahead and handle more open chain type movements, which is where your hand is in space and now your arm has got to move freely without your body having to do anything. Hope that makes sense. Let me show you a couple other things that you can progress to from there.